Welcome guys, and in today's video I'm going to be tattooing a motorcycle and a cross. It's a memorial piece and a slight cover up, if you will, and I just want to take you guys through that process from the beginning. I want to show you my stencil and how I go about that, just so you can kind of see it, see what it looks like and what have you. Again, we're going to do a special video on that. I'm just bringing a little bit at a time so you guys can see it as we go. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at my stencil on the iPad, and then we're going to knock it out. So if you guys are ready to do that, then let's go. Alright guys, here you can see the stencil itself. I have it overlaid on top of my reference, and I went through and lined it. On the tablet, you can zoom in really far and get all those nice little details. You do want to be careful not to get too many details, because depending on how big the actual tattoo is, it can get tricky. But here I went around mostly around the white spots, the highlighted areas that I really want to focus on, and the dots are sort of where there's not a hard line, but maybe I just want to let myself know we're going to do a transition here. There's a different spot I want to work. And here you can see I kind of laid it in on the arm using the tablet. Take all the reference pieces out, and we turn that green stencil black so we can print it and run it through our machine. And there it is. That's my stencil. That's exactly what I printed out. Let's get to it. I have a 3-round liner, and I'm just going around everything that needs to be highlighted. So I'm separating the black sections from lighter sections, and that's really what I'm doing right here. And with that 3-round liner, I will start filling in some black in some really small places, but for the most part, we're just lining. And you do want to be careful when using these 3-round liners, because they puncture the skin really smooth, really quickly, because they're so fine. So be careful not to blow lines out while messing with these, okay? And here, after I made those lines, this is what I'm talking about with that 3-round liner, is I'm just kind of going around it and darkening up around that area, because I know there's going to be black around it, and it just makes it a little easier when I bust out my mag later to not have to worry about getting right up against that area. Some places I do it, some places I don't. Just if I'm thinking about it. Sorry about the jumpy camera there. Sometimes it can be a little harder than it looks to keep that sucker steady. And we're dabbing. If you can dab while you're lining, it's gonna help a little bit. The wipe is gonna be a little harsher on the stencil, so if you can just give it a dab and see your work, maybe a couple dabs, then you're good to go. And right here, there's going to be white inside there, so I'm pretty much tattooing around that area to leave it open, so when we get to the end, I can put the highlights in there, and I'm not trying to put white over black, which really isn't going to work that well. So we leave those little openings now so we can emphasize them later. Here I have that 23 soft edge curved mag bug pin, and we're putting in black, we're putting in some mid-tones with that. Anywhere I gotta cover a large area, I'm gonna use a larger mag. If I have a smaller area, I'll I can use a smaller mag. You could also use this 23 mag to do smaller areas. It's just going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have to really manipulate that mag to get in those areas, but you can do anything with anything if you practice enough. At this point, I do believe I have a very little bit of distilled water on my towel to help wipe those areas when I'm packing that full black. It just helps get the ink off the skin a little bit quicker. And right here, we're diving into the details on the rear end of the motorcycle, getting around things, really following that stencil, looking at the stencil, following it. Here, I'm just getting a little bit of a lighter tone in there while I'm there, and I'm using the 3-round liner to make this happen. Just real gentle and quick over the skin. In here, I have an 11 curved bug pin magnum that I use in these smaller areas. And we're just filling the black in, putting some gray tones in, and working around these dots right here. Now, they don't look like much right now. You can barely see those dots, but when we're done, those are really, really small little bolts. So in the end, we're just gonna put a dot of white in each one of those spots, and those are gonna pop out a bit more. But if you don't leave them open for white, well, good luck. All right, now we've pretty much carried on that same technique all the way through the motorcycle. We get it up into the cross, and the cross I kept a little more simplistic for the most part. Now up here, I really turn that mag on its side, and I think you really get a good look right here of what I'm talking about. That soft edge will give you a nice little blend when you want it. Now when it comes to filling in these numbers for the dates, I'm not really lining this. I'm not single lining these. I want them to be as crisp as I can get them. So I'm using that 3-round liner, and I'm pretty much sculpting them. I'm making sure the color is saturated well, but we're sculpting those numbers to make sure that they come out the best they can. Again, like I said, we're just sculpting those digits right there. And back to the 23 curve mag. And we're gonna put a little bit of black, a little gray, give ourselves a slight gradation up there. And then I'm gonna go back in and lay some gray washes in on the cross itself, just to give it a little bit of texture. And now down here, I left the letters exactly the same as they were before. I just relined them, re-put color in there, re-put color, packed more black back in there, and we pretty much left those alone. That way I didn't have to cover those up, but rather integrate them back in. I lined that with a 3-round liner, and I filled it in with an 11 curve magnum. Now this is a separate 3-round liner that I opened because I've been using black so much. I wanted a fresh needle to not contaminate my white. And now I get to go back to all those little openings that I left open or unshaded, and I get to put the white in there, and that's really gonna start making things pop. If you have a lot of black, you need a bit of white or skin tone to offset that and give you the contrast that you're looking for. And white in the right place can absolutely do that. Now, if you could clean your needle really well, there's no reason why you can't use that same needle that you use for lining to put your white in at the end. You just want to make sure you get it really, really clean. It didn't feel like I could get my needle clean enough, so I went with a fresh one on this. As you see, I put a little bit of A&D down before I work. You might not have seen that a whole lot in this video because I only had certain clips to work with, but nonetheless, every single time a little bit of A&D goes down. If it's too much, I just drag a little off and go to work. And here you go, guys. This was the finished piece. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell to get notifications when I post. Until next time, guys. Peace.